Dr. Taggart, could you tell me a little bit more about some of the volunteer work that you did over your sabbatical and up till today?
Sure. Um, One of my favorite topics. My only hesitation is, well, where do I start? It- so, um, Such rewarding stuff. I think the place where I'll start answering your question is the farming work I did. I was a volunteer farmhand on a farm in Wilmington, North Carolina. As I'm describing this to you and thinking, how do I translate into words like all the just amazing experiences I had there? As I'm trying to come up with where I start, I just remember being there once at I think like 5 in the morning or something. Or no, it must have been later, maybe 6 in the morning. Sun is just coming up, and there's dew and mist everywhere, and I'm realizing that I'm surrounded by just our huge flock of chickens, laying hens, um, and um, the dog that guarded the chickens is appearing out of the mist and coming to me, and um, I think there's half a mile across the pasture. There's a small herd of deer, and just this sense of serenity and peace and beauty. Um, and so it was just so um, peaceful and rewarding for me in ways like that. And also in other ways too. It was so it was a sustainable farm, and it was run in ways that were that are very uh, traditional, and ways that are in harmony with the earth, uh, and ways that don't damage the earth. And so I felt like I learned so much that it wasn't just a peaceful, you know, experience of contentedness and beauty. It was where I learned how to uh, do things that, God forbid, our our third world, or excuse me, our our first world society, falters in some way someday. I learned how to produce food, how food is produced, how food can be produced in harmony with nature, whether that's chickens or growing crops. I learned over the 3 years that I was there, um, how to do many of those things and how to do them right, not with chemicals, not with heavy machinery, not with tech, but with ways that are truly sustainable. Um, and uh, just tremendous experience, and also it was a great experience people wise too. There was a interesting cast of crew. Uh, uh, Members there on the farm, the other farmhands, and the, uh, the the owner of the farm were all just quite different people, but at a time in my life when I really needed a break and a stress relief and just kind of a reframing of mm, a healthier perspective. Um, they gave it to me, and they 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 gave it to me, um, by, just their I think their just kinda, uh, um, uh, direct nature and their honesty, and, some of the guys could be very abrupt in their honesty, and they could be intolerant of, I think, therapeutically, wonderfully intolerant of just, baloney or silly stuff that didn't really matter. And I think they helped me, just because 'cause you're out there, you're picking turnips or something, and you're tending to the chickens, and there's lots of time for talk, and, my, their stresses from the past would come up, and the I think in it was fairly common for one of the guys to say, "Yeah, the, get over that. That's no big deal," or "Here's something that really matters." Uh, so I think it was just a great experience all over, and there was also stuff that I really liked too, like, there was some machinery, so we were turning wrenches on tractors, getting dirty, um, uh, dealing with injured animals, uh, processing chickens. That means when it's time for the chickens to be turned into food, uh, learning how to do that humanely. Um, so there were just it was a tremendous, varied, uh, wonderful experience that I think you can see I'm struggling to kind of encapsulate it into a discussion that fits into this video. Um, and it was just great for me. And so, um, uh, other experiences that I had, um, during that time were, just, I think, similarly rewarding for me, but in very different ways. I, was a tutor and still am a tutor. When I started as a tutor there in 2017, I, was linked up with, a 50 mid-50s-year-old, gentleman who, was, um working on his getting his driver's license. It had been his lifelong goal to get his driver's license. He never had it. He left school in the 7th grade and clearly had struggled tremendously in school. He described school as just a frustrating experience for him that really just damaged his self-esteem. He constantly felt stupid, he would say, in his own words, in school. And um, so even reading signs and understanding the driver training exam manual was a great challenge for him. And after 2 years of work, I consider it one of my greatest triumphs in life that we got him so he passed his driver's exam and got his driver's license. Um, and he was just so happy. I still have on my phone the voicemail from him calling me from the Department of Motor Vehicles to just scream that he got his license and just how happy he was and how thankful he was for me. It was just a rocket fuel self esteem boost for me. Um, and so he and I have continued our work together as a team, me being the tutor and he the student, in a way that's not super typical for the literacy council. So he identified as his next goal to get his GED, and so another tutor began to work with him on his English and language skills, and I took over the job of helping him work on the quantitative and math preparation for the GED. And so for the last few years, we've been working on math skills and preparation for the GED, and we're going to get there. Uh, so the other area of volunteering that has also been, I think, very restorative for me has been working with an organization that trains and places service dogs with um, mostly with vets and civilians who have uh, mental health or other disabilities. And I have been tapped to be one of the people who um, uh, evaluates the applicants um, as far as their health history and mental health history for suitability for the dogs, so that the candidates are get the right dogs and are suitable, and that's been tremendously rewarding. I can't tell you how worthy these people are of the trauma the vets have been through. It's it's just excruciating to listen to some of the stories that are just so unlike anything I've ever been through, and kind of like the farm. It really put my own stresses in life into, I think, a much healthier perspective. Helped me realize that there's all kinds of things that I haven't been through, and it helped me, I think, as a psychiatrist, to have a massively better sense of what real trauma is. And so I think it has educated me, in that regard too. And I'm like with the Literacy Council, I'm still with, the service dog organization, with both of those organizations, I continue into the present day, my work with them. So those, are the things that I think have been part of, my, wonderful, uh, sabbatical or healthy foray, briefly outside of psychiatry. And there also, in case it hasn't been obvious, I think there are ways in which um, they've helped me grow as a psychiatrist, as a mental health professional, and as a, a student and scientist of the human brain, the human mind, human emotions, um, and how to how to have those things all be in healthy balance.